amigas. Welcome to Lima, Peru once again. Welcome to my beautiful city, Lima, capital of the amazing Peru. My name is Vanessa Vasquez. I am your Lima City tour guide. And today we are going back to our history talks. We're going to discuss about events of the past, of the history of Peru that are interesting, that are controversial sometimes, that are surprising. Oh, thank you, John. Thanks for coming, by the way. Thank you, amigos, for joining today's event. We are going to talk about a part of the history of Peru that is probably the less known by Peruvians and of course by people around the world. And we're going to talk about the connection between Napoleon and Peru and the country of Peru, like why this character of the history, of Europe in particular, France, Napoleon can be connected with this distant land. So before we begin, let me say hi to the people that are joining. Thank you so much for coming, by the way. Hola, Marilyn. Hola, Sayuri, querida. ¿Cómo estás? Hello. Oh, hi, John. Thanks for coming. I'm so happy that you were able to join the event from the calendar of our Heygo guides. Now we Heygo guides are trying to sort of like find different ways to continue streaming. Some of us are coming in direction of YouTube, and I am really happy that YouTube is a good alternative for most of you. But please stay tuned to what my colleagues are doing around the world. Many of our colleagues are jumping into other platforms. They are also doing Zoom events. So the best way to join these events is first of all going to the Facebook group of, the global group of all the guides, former Heygo guides. And also, if you want to learn more about South America, we have a group of Facebook of the South American guides that we were former Heygo guides. Now we are sort of like continuing doing these live streams, but we want to always like keep in touch with you, get to know what you would like to, let's say, see us doing here, what themes, what topics, what places you would like to see. So I think my friend Sayuri is in the chat. So Sayuri, if you're still there, please help us maybe here sharing the link to our group of South American guides, our Facebook group of South American guides. Also, if Sayuri is not able to do it here, in my description, in the different links you will find in my description of this channel, you will find also that link. So today we're going to talk about Napoleon and his connections to Peru. So it is always a pleasure to receive your questions. If you have any questions, please share them. And here I'm seeing the chat, by the way. So I'm so happy that we have a chat here for, let's say, being able to sort of like communicate a little bit more. You can also ask me as many questions as you wish. Let me tell you a little bit more about me. My name is Vanessa. I am a licensed official tour guide here in Lima, Peru. And I've been working as a guide for over 16 years. It's been a long journey that I really love because, well, this is my passion. I love to talk about history, in particular untold history. This is, the part of my job that I enjoy the most, talking about things that are not so, like commonly known about, especially my city, Lima. So today we're going to talk about the following theme. So we're going also to turn off the lights, so in that way you can see a little bit better the screen. And let me just move a little bit the camera down so you can have a better view of the of my computer and the images I want to share with you. So gracias, Ayuri. Thank you. So we are now going to the theme of today's event. This is part of my Untold History series. You can also see my other recorded events here on YouTube. So if you have the chance of, at the end of this event, you haven't maybe followed me yet, if you have the chance to follow me, please also get to see all of the events I have posted, because I have lots of different different events there about history. So you might be wondering now, why we are talking about Napoleon in a country that is so distant to let's say basically to Europe, to all the territory in which he like moved in, the territories that he conquered. So we have to first of all understand that there is a relation indeed between Napoleon and the independences of the Hispanic Americas. So we are going also to board basically this theme, this topic. We will talk about this relation today, and also we are going to talk about the less known indirect relation between the independences processes of South America and what Napoleon did in Europe. In particular, the decision he had in, let's say, putting his brother, Jose the First, the brother of Napoleon, as let's say, king of Spain. So we're going to talk about this today. Napoleon was one of the causes of the South American independences. And remember that the invasion of the territory of nowadays Spain was the reason of the tremendous changes that happened in this distant part of the world, and that took us in direction of the independences and the freedom of the former colonies and viceroyalties of Spain. So, after forcing the abdication of Charles IV and also his son Ferdinand VII to impose his brother Jose Bonaparte, also known in Latin America as Pepe Botella. That was one of the nicknames given to the brother of Napoleon, Jose I, also king of Spain, after, putting him as the king of this country. There was a immediate creation of something that is called in Spanish juntas. So the juntas were these groups that started to emerge in Spain and also in Latin America. We're going to talk about the juntas just in a little while. But these juntas were in the Hispanic Americas, the ones that led later to the separation of these territories from Spain, and a complete emancipation that happened right after. So here you can see an image of Jose the First, a king without subjects. So about him, there are more things bad said than positive things. Most of the people, of course, know him from, the nasty insults that, he was given. And I would like to also mention some things about Jose Bonaparte. First of all, about this king, what we can say is that there were two widespread insults that were sort of like very found in around the world. And these insults were created by the patriots, the Spanish patriots, and the people, the subjects of the Spanish monarchy, that considered him, of course, to be a complete illegitimate king. One of them was Pepe Botella. Botella is bottle, by the way. So referring this nickname, Pepe is a nickname for Jose, and Botella, bottle, because he was always pointed out as a drunken person, as a man who heavily drink, and a person who loved gambling, right? He was also known as the king of cups. Because, back then also the cups, besides also the idea of drinking, also in the dices were rolled in cups. So that's why he was considered to be, a person that was not really, of the highest esteem of people. But he was neither a drunken man or a gambler. We know from his biographers that these nicknames were mainly based in the fact that he had sort of like two important changes done during the time of his reigning period between the year 1808 and 1813, which were related, these two laws, that he published, with the production of playing cards, sort of like the liberation of the playing cards. There were taxes associated with them, but he cut those taxes out, and also the production of spirits and liquors, right? So that's also, well, one of the reasons why people started to call him, like a drunken man, because they believe the reason why he was doing this is because he himself liked to drink. But he was, so far we know, a highly educated person, and also he did the best he could in the situation in which he was, to govern with certain level of magnanimity. But, he was definitely not loved in Spain, and that's why also, this is the beginning of the decadence of the, not just the subjects of Spain, towards the king that was ruling there in the Americas. It became this one the opportunity of the separation, of an emancipation from the monarchy. Here we have two images that I was able to find about the king Jose I, in which you can see, these are, for example, let's say, caricatures of him being mocked. Maybe you can see, for example, in this section, like here, his clothes are made from cups, right? We have lots of cups here, and cards, playing cards, right? So this is sort of like referring to the idea that he liked to play like cards, and also drink heavily. So these were the type of images that circulated back in that time about that king, the brother of Napoleon. So we're going now to talk about the juntas. And I would like, first of all, to know, before I keep going, if you're able to see me and hear me correctly, if everything is okay. Would like to know if everything is okay. If you can just give me a thumbs up, that would be super. Just to check that everything is all right, because I see the chat quite very, very quiet. Okay, gracias, Charity. Gracias. Thank you. Muy bien. So we're going to talk about the juntas. Gracias, Diane. Thank you. It really means a lot to me that you are there, by the way. So let's talk about the juntas. I was saying that in the Hispanic Americas. Oh, Marilyn, hola. We had this creation of sort of like a groups that were a subversive group, that were like hidden groups, sort of like what we will now say, sort of like guerrillas, or groups that were, ready to fight for or against the monarchy, right? But we had lots of these groups in different parts of the Americas, and even in Spain, in the period when Jose I, the brother of Napoleon, started to rule in Spain. So could you get closer the screen to the pictures? Yes, I think so. Well, this is the closest I am to the images, but maybe just a little bit also. These are basically referential images for now. So I hope you're able to see this, Catherine, better. Is that better, my dear? Just let me know, please. So, I was saying that there were many juntas created in this period of the history of the emancipation period, because we had also lots of different fights in different parts of South America, Central America. Oh, my pleasure, Catherine, my pleasure. And even in Spain, 60 in total. I was able to find also in the bottom part of this page. You can see a link, which I can later also post when we upload this video, if you want to see the complete list of the juntas in the Hispanic Americas, where they took place. Of course, Lima was one of those places where the juntas took place in different parts of Peru. One happened in Callao, the other one happened in the Andes, also in the south of the country, also in Tacna. So even in Spain, as I say before, no. So after these dramatic changes, the Creoles, the criollos, criollos were the Spanish, children of the Spanish who were born in the American territory. Those were the criollos, right? So genetically they were Spanish, they were European, but geographically, because they were born in the Americas, they were considered criollos. So the criollos were the ones who led the independences. They were the ones that had the education. They were the ones that had the opportunity sometimes to travel also to other parts of the world, to Europe, for example. And they were the ones who ambitioned also more opportunities to rule equivalently than, for example, the peninsulares, or the ones born in Spain. And in reality, for example, after the time of the Bourbon kings, there were some opportunities for Creoles to be able to rule, to escalate socially, but that was in the paper. In the reality, in many parts of the Hispanic Americas, that never happened. So all of this situation of the juntas emerged originally sort of like as groups that wanted to fight for the return of Ferdinand VII. So they were against Napoleon, Bonaparte, against Jose Bonaparte, the brother of Napoleon. But later on, when Ferdinand was reestablished, and once again, the Creoles lost power, because for a little time, the Creoles, during the period when Ferdinand was not in power, they got certain level of, like opportunities to equivalently, like the others, like the peninsulares, rule. Later on, all these opportunities were taken away from them. So that's the moment when they started to fight against also the monarchy in general. First, they were legitimists, we say, that they were fighting for Ferdinand to come back in power, But later, they fought for the complete separation from the monarchy of Spain, right? So, we can see here something interesting, no? And it is also believed that Napoleon's tactics to weaken England by taking Egypt in the year 1795 with the purpose to advance towards India, sort of like for stripping England from its precious colonies on the way, to the Indias, right? So this tactic was copied later by an Englishman called John Maitland, which here you can see his image, right? So, and Mr. Maitland later shared this idea to, he says, a Jesuit who later, men that you can see on the right hand side, Francisco de Miranda is known as one of the fathers of the Hispanic Americas independencies. So Francisco de Miranda sort of like was, a tutor of Bolivar, and Francisco Miranda was in a way also one of the most important figures the Latin American sort of like liberators follow. So it seems that Francisco de Miranda was the person that finally received this plan, and later on, this plan was somehow, given to another important liberator, which is Jose de San Martin. So Jose San Martin, probably you already know this, was one of the liberators of Peru. So very important to notice that, right? Of course, that this plan was not designed originally, to affect Spain, but at the end, it happened in this way, So here we have Jose San Martin, and well, Jose San Martin, an Argentinian man, was the man who declared the independence of Peru in the year 1821. Of course, this was just a declaration. We were not, in fact, completely free and independent from Spain until the year 1824, and another important man came in this story, in place, which is Simon Bolivar. Simon Bolivar. But Jose San Martin is the person that sort of like connects the story of Bolivar with us, and you will see in a moment why, right? But remember, he is the person who started what is called in Spanish Corriente Libertadora, or the Liberator's Current, right? So this is the one that gave the independence to Argentina, to Chile, and later on to Peru. So we're going to talk about now the plan to make Napoleon sovereign of Peru. So we are now going to the story, the back part of the story. I wanted to give you the whole frame of the story of the connection between Napoleon and Peru first. So now you know that indirectly, of course, Napoleon, in a way, also produced the independences of this territory. But there was a plan to make Napoleon king of Spain. So between the year 1817 and 1820, a Scottish admiral, Lord Thomas Cochrane, would have projected and possibly proposed directly to San Martin and to the Chilean president, the first president of Chile, Bernardo O'Higgins, a risky plan. And this plan was to take ships, warships, to the island of Santa Elena in the Atlantic, that was the prison of Napoleon, to attack it and to save and free Napoleon and transfer him immediately to Peru and to impose him as emperor of this country. And of course, the intention was that his power will irradiate also in other directions in South America. We understand, of course, that Peru was a very monarchic nation. We were a country that, first of all, we were a viceroyalty. We had a very close relation with the monarchy of Spain. And we had also lots of noble people, noble families in this territory. So the belief in that time was that, and San Martin, of course, later mentions in many documents that it was extremely complicated that Peru will become a completely independent country. And this is because he believed that we were too dependent on a monarch, too dependent on a king, to rule ourselves alone. So, but of course, the question is, was this plan known by San Martin? This plan of imposing Napoleon as a king of Peru, well, we will never know, to be honest. But we know some other interesting things. For example, we know that Bolivar, this is Simon Bolivar, right? In his letters, he also had many letters in which, he made many letters in which he mentions about his fear of Napoleon fleeing his prison in the island of Santa Elena, and seek to seize the new emancipated countries in South America. No? And therefore, no, like that, to exercise his power in this part of the world. So Napoleon could be or was seen as a very strong competitor, no, by Simon Bolivar. So he didn't really like the idea of him being king of this territory, because Simon Bolivar was completely opposed to the project of San Martin. Jose San Martin wanted to have a constitutional monarchy, and Simon Bolivar preferred a republic. So that is the difference between these two men, right? So I'm going to put a little bit stronger the light. Maybe this helps a little bit more. And here we have, of course, Napoleon on the right-hand side. But there is another character important to our story, and this man is Lord Thomas Cochrane. Right? Lord Thomas Cochrane is one of the most famous liberators, Latin American hero, because he was not Latin American, but he nationalized Chilean. He was a Scottish man, and he nationalized Chilean after the process of, the independences of these territories. And he even participated in the independence of Peru. So the person who proposed rescuing Napoleon was Lord Thomas Cochrane. And history says that the proposition, let's say, that he did, happened during the times of the emancipations of these territories. So we're talking about the 1820s, early 1820. So in the year 1817, the English officer, Lord Thomas Cochrane, he was expelled from the British Navy, and also fined with a lot of money. He was fined with a huge sum of money, and he was not really that wealthy, although he was a lord, but he came from an impoverished family. So he had a very strong temper, very strong character. He was very aggressive, a strong temper. He had many enemies, and his nickname was Sea Wolf. So well, we know that this was not an easy person to deal with. But when he was expelled from the British Navy, he immediately started to look for a place where to emigrate. So he received the call from San Martin to come to the American territory to fight for the independences of this territory. And he, of course, agreed immediately. He was married, by the way, to a lady called Catherine Celia Barnes. And her memories also mention in parts of her memories about, this project that her husband had of rescuing Napoleon. They were both admirers. They were sort of like supporters of Napoleon. They considered him to be really a great person, and that's why both, in a way, persuade also the idea of freeing him. So. Well, as you can see, of course, General Jose San Martin sent representatives to England to search for Lord Cochrane, and returning to Valparaiso in Chile. Of course, this emissary that San Martin sent, not just with Lord Cochrane, also with some other British generals that were at the complete service of San Martin to begin with the fight against the Spanish monarchy in this territory. Also, he was received by a person that is also connected with the history of Peru, Mr. O'Higgins, Bernardo de O'Higgins, which is the gentleman over here. There's a really interesting story about O'Higgins also connected with Peru, because the greatest Chilean hero, that man was born in Chile. He is also considered father of Chile, founder of the country of Chile. He was the son of a viceroy who was viceroy of Peru, Ambrose O'Higgins. So also his history is connected with Peru from his father's side. So, well, O'Higgins and San Martin also received Cochrane. And, well, of course, Cochrane immediately started to work at the service of San Martin, and he, well, followed the plan, attacking by ship, by the sea, the coasts of Peru, in particular, all the coast of Peru, to fight against the Spanish who were in these territories. So, well, the plan was to liberate Chile completely, and then, well, the most important responsibility was to liberate Peru. So the mission was given to Cochrane, and he accomplished it completely. But, let's talk about the possibility of, like bringing Napoleon into this territory. Was this something, that could happen? And why, people wanted Napoleon, like, first of all, Lord Cochrane and probably San Martin and probably O'Higgins wanted Napoleon being king of this territory. Why not just to separate completely from monarchies? Well, first of all, it is well documented that José de San Martin observed, how anarchy started to flourish in the territories that were being liberated by him. In the South American territory. He was very afraid about anarchy. The general was convinced that Peru in particular was sort of like not prepared to be self-governed. Like believed that the country of Peru, well, the territory of Peru was naturally more monarchic, and that we needed someone to conduct the destiny of this nation. So that's why he proposed a constitutional monarchy. And this image you see here, actually, I think I can move a little bit the image. Zoom it, so you can see when this happened, this meeting happened. This is, of course, the gentleman standing is José de San Martin, and the person seated is Viceroy La Serna, José de la Serna. And this meeting happened on the year 1821. The Liberator met in a very civilized reunion with Viceroy La Serna, in which he proposed to Viceroy La Serna, which was the ears of the king, of course, in this territory, to, well, if the king, freed this territory, what he proposed was to create a constitutional, monarchy, and he asked the king of Spain to send a Spanish prince to rule this territory. So his plan was not, creating a independent nation. He wanted a prince of Spain to rule Peru. So, well, unfortunately for La Serna, right after, these conversations finished, he was he was put away, and another person assumed as viceroy. So these conversations couldn't continue, right? But this was in the year 1821, and this was just, weeks before, basically, the declaration of the independence of Peru in the same year, 1821, right? So now where was the heart of San Martin. He needed a prince. He needed a king to rule, you know. But why did Napoleon never reach Peru? You might be wondering at this point, you know, like everything is almost perfect, you know. This territory, you know, was open, this land, a magnanimous character like Napoleon, right? And sometimes I think about the possibility, what if, you know, Napoleon could have come to this territory, you know, what will happen to this nation? What about Bolivar? Bolivar would never be able to, or dare to come this far, you know, south. No? But, you know, this story, you know, has a different end. No? Napoleon never reached Peru. You know, Napoleon was condemned to fail. No? And, well, that is because Napoleon died before he could be rescued. He died on May the 5th, 1821. It is not very clear why Napoleon died. I've read some documents in which they said that he was poisoned. The physicians who conducted the autopsy of Napoleon mentioned that he died from a type of stomach cancer, right? Or some type of ulcers that he had in his stomach. So unfortunately, tips from Lord Cochrane rescue him from his prison in the island of Santa Elena. He was not able to be rescued. No? So the next question will be, you know, now that we are coming almost to the end of the event, you know, could Napoleon be actually king of Peru? No. So if we think about this possibility, no, let's say that Napoleon didn't die. So would he really be supported, you know, by, for example, General San Martin? Because one thing is that General San Martin wanted a prince, a Spanish prince, to rule Peru, you know. That was the best scenario for, in his opinion, right? And another thing is that he would be that happy that Napoleon will rule this territory. No? So, you know, this is definitely not a mere legend, because we have enough documents and there are books. At the end, I will give you some recommendations on books you can give a look on about this story that makes it a true story. But we know that for San Martin, bringing Napoleon to Peru was not a good idea. And although it's not document that says exactly these were the words of San Martin, but we know that the first thing that San Martin wanted to do after the independence of Peru from Spain and these territories was to establish and reinforce a good commercial relation with England. And having Napoleon as a king of this territory will completely change that possibility. Will completely, probably like withdraw England from having a friendly relation with the new emerging nations. And probably that will become a big problem for this land, right? So many specialists inclined to believe that San Martin will never accept it, that to be a possibility, just because of this reason. We will never know if Napoleon knew about the intentions of Lord Cochrane, but well, it would be wonderful to be able to find, you know, like documents that find out, you know, like maybe that Napoleon received this information, you know, letters or something like that. So who knows, maybe we will find something more in the future. So I hope you enjoyed this event. Thank you so much for your participation, by the way. Thank you so much for coming today to learn about this story that has a lot of intrigues and has lots of also, you know, like untold stories from different, let's say, participants of this these events that I mentioned. Oh, gracias, Sheila, gracias. Thank you, thank you. Here, some authors, some books also you can check. For example, no, we have one which was published in Italian, Napoleone e il Peru, right? That's one that I know you can find also translation into English. History Today from Christopher Woodhart. The Last Campaign of Napoleon from Emilio Ocampo. And there are also various writers, historians, most of them Chileans, who were able to get information from the family of Cochrane. He spent a long time in Chile. He nationalized Chilean also. So that's why the information is also there. And also English writers who were able to access to information of people close to Cochrane in England. So it's really a pleasure for me to share with you these stories. Let me turn on the lights also to say bye to you all. Muchas gracias for your participation, amigos. It's been really a pleasure. If you wish to learn more about Untold History of Peru, I have lots of videos already posted in my YouTube channel, so please go there, give them a look. I will be also posting more events like this one in the next week. Please give me a follow. Also, if you would like to support this channel and your Lima City tour guide to continue doing events here, I do all kinds of things. I do cooking classes, I do also history lectures from home, I do city tours, street tours, all kinds of things that can be fun and entertaining and that are part of, being a tour guide. If you would like to support me, you have here in the chat pin my PayPal if you wish to donate. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias, John. Thank you. You have my PayPal there if you wish to donate. Any amount is welcome and will help me a lot to continue doing events. Also, I have Patreon if you wish to maybe find a different way to support. My Patreon is also in the description of this video, as well as my PayPal. And please give me a follow. Check on the calendar that is there if you want to see my upcoming events. Also, don't forget to recommend themes that you would like me to, let's say, bring to my lives here. Anything that you would like to know about Peru. There is also one poll that I have put in the section that is called Community. Here, when we finish this event, you can go there and vote which event you would like me to do next time. So there are 3 options. Please vote. The one that you like, the one that has the most votes is going to come next. So, muchas gracias, Ayuri. Gracias, amiguita. Thank you, thank you. And please don't forget to follow our Latin American guys and our guys from the Heygo platform. If you don't know where are their YouTubes, it is very easy. I have tried to help a little bit. I want to help you a little bit in finding those channels. So at the end of the event, if you go to my main page in YouTube, you're going to find in the lower section, all my colleagues on Heygo that are on YouTube. You're going to see all of their channels. So in that way, you can follow them directly from my channel. Please give them a look, follow them, and support them. That is really something fantastic because we are just starting with these shows here on YouTube. So your support is really important. Well, amigos, hope to see you tomorrow in my Spanish class. I'm going to be practicing Spanish again here, but on YouTube. I used to do it in Heygo. These Spanish classes are for beginners. So if you want to learn Spanish, please come, please join. We're going to talk about the family. La Familia is going to be an easy class. It's Spanish for traveling. So please come. And we'll hope to see you very soon. Gracias, amigos. Take care. Have a lovely, lovely rest of the day. And see you very soon. Muchas gracias. Gracias, Marilyn. Gracias, John, Sheila, Marlene, Catherine, for coming. And to all my friends, Charity, Dayan, for being here today. See you soon. Gracias. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye. Take care.